What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, Ace's Place 22, where I'm Ace, and these are the eyes. Well, I wonder if you guys know who these are the eyes of. Give it a few seconds. Not that it's live or anything, so I won't know, but this is Ace's Place, where I'm Ace, and this is my Place 22, and these are the eyes of one of the world's most famous actors, Robert De Niro, in Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. It's one of few movies we're going to talk about here with Ace's Thrills and Chills Movie Reviews Night number 28. I'm excited. Are you? I'm a little sad, though, in the same breath, because we're coming to a very, very fast ending of October. It's my favorite month of the entire year. And it's flown by. It's flown by so fast, and it's so disappointing to me because I feel like we just got started. We just started talking about these horror movies, didn't we? I don't know. But we are definitely going to talk about a handful here, and what we've already watched, as in me, and then what we will be watching, as in me and my daughter, later this evening or tonight. So this will be a fun one. Let's get right into it. You've already seen what I showed off first, and that is Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, directed by Kenneth Branagh, who is starring in this movie as well. Also starring Robert De Niro as Frankenstein's monster. Kenneth Branagh is playing Frankenstein, Dr. Victor Frankenstein. You have Helena? Is it Helena? I always forget her name. Helena Bonham Carter. She is in a ton of Tim Burton things because she is married to Tim Burton, but she is also in this, and she plays the bride of Frankenstein, so to speak. It's a very, very tragic turn of events in this movie. It is a very long movie. It is the one, I don't know, word for word from Mary Shelley's book of Frankenstein, but this is the adaptation for that, her book. I like this one personally. It is to me, the typical Frankenstein story. There's some liberties in it, obviously, because it's a movie. I like Kenneth Branagh as Victor Frankenstein. I like Robert De Niro as Frankenstein's monster because, one, I had never seen him in anything like this at the time. When did this even come out, man? I don't even know. 1994? All right, so I didn't watch this at all in the 90s. I probably watched this in my mid-teens, so my early teens. 13, 14 is when I had the regular DVD copy of it. And that was in 2003, so about 10 years removed from when this came out. And I like it, though, but I had never seen Robert De Niro in anything like this. I'd obviously only ever seen him in, like, Goodfellas, Casino, anything mob-related. Why can't I think of it right now? The Godfather. I think the first two Meet the Focker movies were out. So, I mean, you could see him in comedies and stuff a little bit, but, like, to see him in a horror movie where he is the monster was pretty awesome when I finally got around to checking this movie out. There are new Frankenstein movies coming out this October, I do believe, of 2025. Guillermo del Toro has his version of Frankenstein coming out, and then there is, I forget who's directing the other one, but then there's another one, so check them out. This is a pretty great movie, though. It is slow. It is a very slow movie. I imagine the book itself is slow because you're not constant. Like, we are accustomed to seeing Frankenstein's monster just thrashing and bashing and being a monster, right? But there's a lot of dialogue building up to these moments and a lot of scenery. And this movie definitely is that. It's like a 2-hour movie, 2+ hour movie, and it's all there. It's good. It's a good movie. Check it out. Up next were these two that I watched. Well, I watched these first three alone. But, I can see a smudge on my glasses, and that bothers me. Oh, well. The original, this was back when it came out, the 40th anniversary of the original Nightmare right here. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Horror movies were completely different after this because now I am going to speak strictly on my mother's experience. I remember when I was a little kid in the 90s, and I've mentioned this before in videos, we had a movie store right around the corner from us, and it was the best place in the world, and we'd rent tons of different stuff there. And I would always ask, as many times and as many weird things as my mom would say yes to for movies, she would always say no to this, which made me even more interested in what the hell it was. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like, what is that? None of the kids that I was in school with were allowed to watch horror movies, so I couldn't even, like, tape trade back in the day when I was little. Definitely did that with shows and stuff like that you would record on your VCR, but never had the chance to watch this as a kid. So I watched this in my, again, teens. I'm caught in the middle. I see what the hoopla would have been about. Because back then, in the 90s, I remember my mom saying, like, no, when I was younger and this movie came out, it was vile and gross, and people, it was just too real, and I was like, oh, I want to see this. I see that. When I watch this, I can see that. For if I put myself in the late 70s and I would see this movie in the 80s or whatever, I could definitely be like, that's pretty intense, man. But on the other side of that coin, I grew up in the 90s with like the straight slasher guts gore, right? Like, so this was pretty tame when I saw it, but it still holds up for like up. It absolutely holds up. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre is an absolute classic. This is the definition of classic with Leatherface and the entire Sawyer family. And this spawned, like I said, an entirely different generation of horror. It wasn't just the slashers anymore. It was now like brutality. That's the word I'm looking for. Brutality. You know, you had David Cronenberg change it with like the sci-fi body horror. You had people like John Carpenter with the slasher flicks, and Wes Craven even so. But then this was the original Tobe Hooper, yeah, brought this to life, and it just changed the game completely. Leatherface is completely iconic as a horror movie character, and this is his. I say this all the time. This is a simple as it gets. It is just a bunch of kids. I don't say a bunch, a group of kids going cross country. I don't really remember what their plan was in this one. If we were talking about the Jessica Biel one all day long, I remember that. But I'm already forgetting. But they're just going across country through Texas, and they pick up this hitchhiker. I'm forgetting his name. Go back to the Sawyer house, and shit just goes down, and carnage ensues. And then followed up by the same director, Tobe Hooper, which takes a completely different direction in style than the original Texas Chainsaw. The original Texas Chainsaw goes for traditional horror. This, on the other hand, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, goes for like over-the-top horror. Picture Joel Schumacher doing the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That's as best as I can give you for a description. But in that same token, I love this movie. I think this one's my personal favorite between the two. My biggest negative is stretch with the screaming towards like the third part. It becomes too much. But that's even the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The girl in that screams like crazy. So not a deal breaker. It comes with the territory. I like this movie a lot. It takes place 5 years after the first one. Two individuals are murdered on the highway, and an officer, Dennis Hopper, one of the greatest actors to ever do it, R.I.P., he comes into play as the sheriff, and he is hunting down the Sawyer family. And they show you a little bit more about the Sawyer family. In the community-wise as well, they introduce a new character, Chop Top, played by Bill Moseley. If you know the Rob Zombie flicks for the Firefly trilogy, where he plays Otis Driftwood. This was I think his first like feature length acting film, and he plays Crop Top, which is awesome. Lick my plate, bitch, something like that. I forget that's the quote or whatever. But he was actually just on the Jamie Kennedy podcast and just did an interview with him. And I just listened to it today, actually, which was really appropriate. So I might as well plug that. And this movie is really great. I don't know who the chick is that plays Stretch. It doesn't even say her name. But I absolutely loved her when I first saw this. I actually saw this one first, which is kind of wild, before I saw the Texas Chainsaw, and I didn't want to say that until I mentioned this one, but I saw this one first, so this was way, way wilder than the original one. Like, this is crazier, for sure, than that original one. But a local DJ, gets tormented by the Sawyer family. Leatherface and the original dad return. Chop Top is new, and hell takes place in the Sawyer residence once again. And this time, the house and everything around it feels like a giant fun park. Even when Dennis Hopper, the sheriff, gets his chainsaws, it's just like, this is crazy. This is a cartoon, and I love it. Like, I absolutely love it. Now, we are going to talk about the movie we are going to watch tonight. This is the awesome best of the entire Alien vs. Predator franchise. Aliens. This is the sequel to the hit Alien. Sigourney Weaver. My tongue is swollen and I can't say her name. Sigourney Weaver comes back as Ripley in this movie, and she teams up with these badass Space Marines. You got Michael Biehn in this. You've got Bill Paxton. Fuck, I love Bill Paxton as a kid. I always thought he was just the fucking coolest in whatever he was in. So this movie's radical. They are just Space Marines on a desolated space station, and they are just surviving aliens. And this time it's not just one, it's a horde of these aliens. And this takes and you know what? A lot of people normally complain when things go from like horror to action, especially, and I'm gonna use this as a huge example with the Resident Evil video games. Okay, the Resident Evil video games are awesome, except for a select few. The Alien movies are awesome, except for a select few. The first Alien movie comes to us as a straight horror movie, like big monster lurking in the dark, picking off people one by one in horrible fashion. The second one amps up what that idea was and then puts steroids all throughout it. And nobody complains because it's well done. It's perfectly balanced. It's well executed, pun intended. The third movie is a displacement off of this one. And I don't know if I'll talk about the third one, but I have to mention it because of the balance. The third one goes too far in one direction and doesn't lean in the direction that it's supposed to, which is the horror element, like the true horror element. The Resident Evil video games, the first three were straight horror, like scary because of the bird's eye view, the fixed camera angle, scary. The fourth Resident Evil game, which is the best Resident Evil game, changed it. It brought the action. It brought the excitement, the fast-pacedness to the horror. Didn't get rid of it. It introduced it and brought it together and made something epic. After Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 5, and 6, because they went too action-centric. They got away from the roots. This is the perfect balance. This example of a movie is a perfect balance of horror and action. It doesn't lose itself in either one, and it stays true to both. I know every person that I talk to loves this movie, that, you know, when we're talking about these movies. I know a lot of my YouTube community friends absolutely love this movie. Whether it's their favorite one, I don't know, but it's always praised as one of the top movies. And it's badass. You got to check it out. Usually little kids in movies annoy the crap out of me, but Newt in this, because she's just cool as heck. And I saw this movie when I was a kid, and I was just like, oh, a kid in one of these movies. That's pretty rad. It made for a really good time. So, on that note, this has been Ace's Thrills and Chills Movie Reviews Night number 28. And if you've enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. I've got, obviously, the first 27 nights. There's some compilation videos put together of some of the nights for your pleasure, but tons of other stuff. So please feel free to go through my library and take out whatever you want, as long as you put it right back where you got it. Other than that, we'll see you next time. Oh, I couldn't hit the button.